Just hold it up to your mouth because like some people hold the mic down here and you can't hear them, so just hold it.
All right, folks, welcome to the latest episode of Can You Believe It? I'm joined here in Lanigan's Irish Bar by some very auspicious guests. On my left immediately is Gerard Doherty, chairman of the Chicago board, and to his left, Jarlath Mullen. To my right, Annie Redmond, and to her right is Owen McLaughlin of Mayo fame. So delighted to have you all, folks. Great to have you here on this special weekend for GA in Chicago. Ger, affectionately known as the Doc. I'm going to refer to you as the Doc after this. Chairman of Chicago board. It's a special weekend. Chicago finals. It's going to be a great weekend. The weather hopefully will cooperate with us. But looking forward to a great day tomorrow in Gaelic Park in Oak Forest out there. So hopefully it's going to be a great day.
Yeah, John. Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Look, at the last 2-3 weeks have proved. We see the crowds that have come out. The weather has been fantastic. We're probably in the thousands last weekend in the semi-finals with attendance, and it's fantastic to see it. A lot of hard work put in behind the scenes, but by a large group of people. So tomorrow, hopefully, weather holds out. Today has been a nasty day with rain and wind and that, but tomorrow looks like the weather is going to be good, and hopefully the crowd comes out, and it's a good day for football.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a really competitive looking card. We begin proceedings at 12:30 with a hurling final. Connacht and Leinster. Connacht and Leinster first up at 12:30. Neither team will progress to the North American finals, but nonetheless, it's going to be a competitive fixture. As far as bragging rights for Chicago, if nothing else. And then we move on to your own club at 2 o'clock. The intermediate final, the McBrides are playing the Patriots, and that's going to be a cracking game, I think, based on all known evidence. So followed in by the ladies' final, the ladies' senior final, St. Bridget's versus Éireann Rovers at 3:30. And then the main event, the senior final, the Tones versus the Pierces at 5 o'clock. So it's going to be a helter-skelter day out there, and it's going to be full of action, no doubt about it.
That's for sure, yeah. And I'll go back to the hurling. Like, the hurling in this town the last number of years has been kind of gone, but a few people have put a lot of hard work into it this year, like Martin Redmond, and a special mention to Paul Reynolds, like who are two diehard hurling men, and I apologise if I'm leaving anybody out, but the two of them are they live and breathe hurling, like, and there's a lot more with them, between in both clubs. But the two of them sat down this year, the two clubs, the Windy City Gales and the Cusicks, and they put their minds together, and they came up with a good idea to generate the hurling and get it back and get the hurling back on the field. And I think they've done a fantastic job. Hopefully, with the help of the board, and hopefully going forward, it develops even more. And it brings the hurlers back to town, and for the two of them and their clubs, I want to say fair play to them. Yeah,
absolutely. I think there was a great hurling tradition in this town for years and years. In fact, we had the oldest hurling club in North America, I believe, Harry Boland's, and
1925, I believe, is when the Bolands formed.
Yeah, and it was, it's a shame to see it, going by the wayside. But fair play to the boys; they've put their shoulders to the wheel, and they've got it resurrected again. So hopefully, it'll go from strength to strength once again, because it's a fantastic game, and it's great to see it on show out in Gaelic Park. Interested to get a little input from the two boys here. Owen, it's great to have you out again. You were out here last year after Mayo exited the championship. What's your thoughts on the championship at home? How do you think it went? I know it was disappointing for Mayo, but I'm interested to know your thoughts on the whole structure and how the split season sort of worked out, and from a player perspective?
Yeah, I suppose it was a fun enough year. A lot of games condensed into a short period of time. Just trying to get boys fit, and with injuries and stuff, it's hard to. If you pick up a 3-week injury, you could miss 2 or 3 games. But look, obviously it didn't go to plan this year. Fell short against Dublin, and looking forward to getting back into it now in October after go back and play at Westport and get another crack at the whip.
Yeah, I know we talked beforehand about the club championship, which kicks off in the next couple of weeks in Mayo. Westport have a really good chance, I think, this year in the Mayo County Championship setup. Obviously, you're confident. Lee Keegan's still there. You've got some really key players, so it's going to be a busy autumn for you guys.
Yeah, big time. Going back to the club is always very enjoyable. Just playing with your best friends you kind of grew up with, it's kind of different to the county scene, if that makes sense. It's, especially because it's your home club and you're playing for your club, obviously. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing more motivating than playing for your parish. That's for sure, and it's a great honour. That's a certainty. Charlotte, of course, you're very welcome. I don't like to say this, but you're a brother of Oisín Mullins, of course, one of the finest footballers and a cousin to the Doc, of course, as well. Jesus Christ, how could I forget that? I'm after getting an outrageous kick under the table. But Oisín is out in Australia and he's doing well, so we wish him all the best, of course. And he was out here last year, so he's doing well out there.
He is, yeah. It's always a good thing to be known as Oisín's brother. You get free drink in the pub, so it's grand for me. But yeah, he seems to like it, yeah. He's another year left in his contract, so hopefully he'll keep going. He's doing well anyway, so he's happy enough.
That's good, and best wishes to Oisín out there, and hope you're doing well and enjoying yourself. From your own perspective, not your first year in Chicago, and by the looks of it mightn't be your last.
Geez, I don't know. There's an incident where Doc nearly evicted me, so we'll see how it goes. Mightn't end too well now next week, so we'll see.
How have you enjoyed it so far?
It's very good. Like, I recommend for it, if you can't get a chance, come out here every summer, because I'll always come out here anyway, so hopefully you keep putting me up.
Well, that's good recommendation anyway. Tell us a little bit about the football experience. It's a bit different from at home, the 13-a-side, more space on that field, and the heat and everything. What's it like?
It's a lot different anyway. There's a lot more space and tactics, like a lot of goals. Like, you could be 10 points up and all of a sudden you could be 2 points down. So it's a game of goals, really. You have to get goals to win out here, I suppose. Yeah. It's good old crack, though.
There you go. That's good. Owen, from your perspective, from a county, like when you're used to playing 15, very crowded setup, how do you find it out here? I know you played last year with the McBrides. How did you find the 13-a-side setup?
Yeah, it was a bit strange. Just you have a lot more space up in the forwards, like 2 less players. The heat as well. I couldn't get over the heat when I came out here first.
I think Matty Ruane had a bit of an issue with the heat as well. God bless him.
We all did, to be honest, last year. I think we're nearly 5 of us got taken off at half time last year by this book.
Yeah, Jesus says they must be suffering from coronary arrest or something to be getting these fellas off the field. But it is a different animal, all right. And actually, Doc, you'd be a good man to come in on this, because there's always armchair discussions around this bear and other bears around Chicago. How to counteract this packed defence system at home. And there was some people that suggested that maybe there could be a future in actually reducing it to a 13-a-side game at home. What would you think?
To be honest with you, I wouldn't be opposed to that, because I really enjoyed the 13-a-side game over here. Like, it's an entertaining game of football. Like, I mean, it's tough. When I came here first, I played cornerback. It's a tough place to be at a 13-a-side.
The worst place you could be playing.
But like, definitely for spectators and that, and to play attacking football, just get rid of the blanket defence stuff, go for a kind of football. It is. I would be a fan of that. Yeah, absolutely.
Owen, any thoughts on that one? Well, you wouldn't want to be corner back, I'll tell you that.
No. Ah, jeez, it's hard enough to start with 15. Never mind trying to make a team with 13 aside. Like.
Yeah, we'll have to talk
Owen
with that
thought-
manager of yours.
Owen thought Crow Park was big till he came to Gaelic Park.
Annie, what would you think? I know, like over here, it's just a different setup with the heat and everything like that, and the humidity and all that sort of stuff. But 13 aside, actually, it would make some appeal on some levels, in terms of taking that crowded nature out of the game that we have at the moment.
Yeah, well, as a back myself, it is a bit rough, but that's like at the 13 aside, I think is a good idea. Like, but I think a lot of years ago, North American board put in a bylaw that it was 13 aside. Like they're like, pick one, 15 or 13, and everybody voted 13. And then as the years went on, people just started playing 15. People in certain grades that play. So the ladies are actually playing 15 aside now in the ladies football. Like Camogie, we would play 13 aside. But yeah, I know the idea behind the 15 aside. The problem is when you go to some other facilities, maybe their field wouldn't be as big. So when you play 15 aside, your forwards just get swamped, and it's not a very entertaining game. There's not a whole lot of scoring going on because it's a big strategy game. With that, too, if you have 15 aside on a small pitch, there's not a whole lot of scoring. It's kind of boring to watch, really. So 13 kind of evens it out and kind of spreads everybody out.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's something. I think there's an awful lot for Congress to think about later on this year. I know they're going to make some changes. I think they should. I don't know what you guys think about this. The group stage with 3 teams coming out. I don't know if that's a great idea. It's an extra game. Maybe they could go with two teams coming out of each group or something like that, straight into a quarter final, and just reduce games. As Owen said, it's condensed season means more games, and it's you see more unusual injuries now with fellas, like a lot of ACL injuries, a lot of obviously hamstrings and stuff like that. So it's tougher on the players. The demands on the players now is huge. It really is, and they're going from the county season finishing in July right into the club season now. They'll start in a couple of weeks' time. So it's intense. For probably 9 or 10 months of the year. So it's a tough ask. So hopefully, anyways, at Congress they'll come up with some sort of a solution or some sort of a formula that'll bridge that gap and maybe take the pressure off players. Plus, I always like the September All-Ireland final. I don't know about you fellas. I always sooner an All-Ireland in September. And cheaper to go home. And you also have the Listowel races to look forward to. So, moving on anyways to tomorrow. The first game is the McBrides and the Patriots. Very competitive game on paper. The Patriots have been impressive all year. They dropped down intermediate this year from senior. So, how do you see it going? A slightly biased view, I must add. Now.
Yeah, biased. No, it'll be absolutely. You're dead right. It will be a very tight game. I have a very close connection with the Patriots, as I have 2 first cousins starting on the team, Brendan and Rory Burke. And we always had great battles over the years with the Patriots, and I have the height of respect for the club. The likes of Joe Begley, he's an absolute legend around this town. He was one of the founders of the club. Tom Burke, Tommy Dolan, Francie Lang. These guys, when I came here first, I looked up to these guys. They were, mentors and clubs and stuff like that. It'll be a good game of football now. Patriots are probably favourites, I'd say. But
possibly slight favourites, I'd say, but I like the way you snuck that in now.
Do you have a bet and Paddy Power going?
Yeah,
or what?
yeah. I'd say the Paddy Power app might be out now, but I think the way the McBrides, they're as the buzzword is now, they're trending upwards. They've been building their performances, and they've got a couple of very good players. None more so than the lad in front of us here, Adam Barrett. He played fantastically well from your own club at home, Kilmaine. Scored, what was it, 110 was it last week? And
I think it was 113 now.
113, I'm wrong.
But the top of my pencil broke, then I had to...
You ran out of lead.
I didn't have the topper with
me. Yeah, I know, yeah. But yeah, no, another lad there from Newport, Patrick Chambers. He's in college with my nephew in Galway. An outrageous hooer for drink.
No more than Gerald. Like he got very fond of this town. Like
I'm sure, yeah, for for some mysterious reason. So we're all agreed. Annie, what do you think? It's going to be a close call, I'd say, this one.
For their semifinal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the Patriots are very strong. Like, I mean, there was a lot of debate going on last year, I think, within their own club as far as will they go senior, will they not. Like, we were hosting the North American finals last year, so they decided to go senior in the competition. Like, they didn't make it into the semifinals. But they've always been a very, very strong club. Like, they started off in Junior C, and they moved up very, very, very fast. Like, all American-born kids that come up through the youth program.
Right.
And it speaks very, very well for all the work that they do in the youth program and all these players that are coming through the system. And they're just like some of the players that, they would get onto a senior team, regardless of whether they're American born or not, like just skill level wise, like they deserve to be there. So it does speak very well for the youth program. But the Patriots are a very, very, very strong club. So they put in a lot of work. Like you said, Joe Begley has been around forever.
Yeah, God bless him. He's got to be on this podcast now shortly because he's a great character, no doubt about it. But yeah, I think Owen, what do you reckon from what you've seen at intermediate so far?
I suppose I would have played against most of the same lads with the Patriots last year because they were obviously senior.
Yeah.
Just looking forward to a good game, I suppose.
Yeah.
Obviously, helping out a small bit with the McBride, so be doing water tomorrow for them. So
you're going to be the Pat Gilroy of the McBrides, I'd say.
The movie The Water Boy.
Oh yeah. Fair hit on you for what? It'd be the last substance you'd bring, I'd say, is water. But no better man, I'll tell you, to have on the sideline. But personally, I think it's going to be close. But I do actually fancy the McBrides. I think they played well in the semi-final. They bet a tough Parnell's team. And I think that the McBrides might just shade it, I think, by a couple of points. But it's going to be close.
I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a very close
game.
It'll be a very entertaining
game
to watch.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about all the games. I mean, we'll move on to the ladies' game now in a minute. But like all the games really have the potential of being cliffhangers, really, and that's the great thing about it. There's no team that you could say are head and shoulders. I mean, you could make an argument for the Bridgets. At the senior ladies level, they've looked the Rolls Royce of teams all year, to be honest. And but we'll see tomorrow. A final is a final. So and getting on to that point, Annie, Bridgets and the Aaron Rovers. Another big final.
Yeah, no, I don't think any game tomorrow is going to be a blowout by any means. Obviously I'm a bit biased. I played for the Bridgets for 20 years, and it's kind of depressing when you say it out loud that I played for them for 20 years.
You want to see it from
obviously,
angle.
I would love to see the Bridgets win. But I mean, fair play to the Rovers girls. I mean, for the last decade or so, they've been, or more than that, they've been mostly all-American girls. Like never really brought out, not brought out, but they never really had like J1 girls or anything like that. Like, so they've been all-American, and they've gotten very, very good over the last few years, and they're very strong. Like, you certainly wouldn't count them out, but I do think the Bridgets are going to win, and I hope. But the Rovers have worked very, very hard with the team that they have. Like, they have a couple girls from down that are out this year. They were actually playing camogie for us as well. Very strong. Aoife McDowell and in their corner forward, she's fantastic. But the Bridges girls are, like, they have Irish girls on the line, and they're mostly Americans on the field. The likes of, like, I think Mairead Ruan obviously is like the epitome of what you'd want in a home-based player. Yeah. Like, she came up through the youth program. She's just fantastic all over the field. Like, she's fantastic. You have Ailish Rispin there for a long time too, and Nicole Kane, that are like kind of the stalwarts of the Bridgets team. And then a whole bunch of new high school girls they're soccer players, and they picked up Gaelic football. It's amazing how fast they pick it up, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, they are absolutely. Yeah, it's been great to watch the ladies all year, in fairness, and there've been a couple of great games and great performances, as you said, like Mairead Rowan you could pick out, but there have been other stars as well, you know, throughout that team. And
And
you
Kira
know,
Bridges too.
Kira Bridges, yeah, she's been
yeah, she-
fantastic. Absolutely.
She's mad
you
at me
know,
if I didn't mention her.
Absolutely, oh, yeah. You know, Maddie Meehan.
Yeah.
Shout out to Maddie Meehan with her sleeves twisted. I said she's ready for fight anytime. Fair play to her, but she's a great footballer.
She is.
Yeah, Gina Ryan. You know, there's a bunch of them, and Aaron
The Flynn sisters too.
the Flynns, absolutely
Yeah.
bolstering that full back line. You know, and on the Rover side as well, as you said, you know, they've got some really, really talented players. So I'm looking forward to a really tight game as well, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, but I think the Bridgets probably are justifiably favourites, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like fair play to like Caitlin Fitzsimons is a fantastic goalkeeper. Like she's kept the Rovers alive in a lot of games. Like with
Yeah.
her, she's a fantastic goalkeeper.
Absolutely.
Comes off with unreal saves, like
Mhm.
in point blank range. Like so, she's definitely. It can be hard for the Bridges to score a goal sometimes against her, but
Right.
you know she's very good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Doc, who is it for you? Bridgets or Aaron Rovers?
It's kind of. I'll just kind of recap on Annie's statements. Like, you know, they're two great clubs. Like, you know, and including the Ashleen Gales. And I want to kind of mention the Ashleen Gales, and I want to wish them luck in the North Americans because they're going out as intermediates.
Yeah.
And I watched a lot of the ladies football this year, and there was some great footballers. I mean, some of the talent is to be watched. Like, you know. And you mentioned Mairead Ruane. I will say, as an American-born girl, a lot of lads could take a lot of pointers from her. She's the most gifted footballer. You can left, right foot, freeze off the ground. I mean, she's gifted, like, you know. Probably on paper, I'd say the Bridges are probably looking a bit stronger. I hope the Rovers take that now and use it for motivation.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you know, just let's pray that John Bridges gets some sleep tonight. He's very nervous. He's a very nervous individual when it comes to nights before games, you know.
Absolutely.
And there's great rivalry between, I think Fitzy is on the other sideline, like, so between Fitzy and Bridges, like, you know, we'll see. But I'm going to say that Bridges will probably shade it, I'd say. You know, but that's only.
Yeah, John has done fantastic work with the Bridgets
he sure
in the last
has.
several years.
Yeah,
like
I spoke with him on the phone today, and now there wasn't much sign of nerves when I was talking to him, but that was early this morning, so. Maybe as the time gets closer, things the butterflies might begin to come in.
He gets very nervous, that man. He gets very nervous.
He does.
I do miss the halftime speeches in the changing rooms, though.
Yeah. Oh man, that's that stuff of legend, you know. So I'm looking forward to seeing him here on Monday, when he lets all the stress and all the nervous energy out of him. But
you think it'd be a good idea to call him at 8 o'clock Monday morning?
I think you're in for disappointment there.
That's assuming Quinn will be up at 8 o'clock on Monday morning.
Yeah. You'll be lucky to see me at 8 o'clock on Monday evening. And that brings us on then to the senior game. And the Pierces and the Tones. And again, a bit like, you know, the Tones have been a very steady team all year. They've started out well. But the Pierces probably started poorly, slowly, you know, after their North American win last year. By their standards, they were probably slow in the start, but they gradually built it up, and they've come up with a couple of big performances the last couple of weeks. So it's going to be this is going to be a ding dong battle, I think, physically, you know, in terms of football, in terms of strategy. You know, getting matchups right, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So I think there's one thing is the game on the field, but I think the game on the sideline is going to be just as important. And you know, with so many stars on show, you know, this is going to be crucial, I think.
I would definitely agree with that, John. Like the last time these two played, was it 2 weeks ago or so, or, you know, and it ended up in a draw. I think definitely the matchups, the sidelines, the decision making on the lines, and who's going to play and who's going to mark who will be a big factor on the result of the game. Two very, very solid teams, like two very good, well organised teams. Unfortunately, we came up short last week into the Pierces, like, you know, but they beat us fair and square. Very organised, you know, good teams, good team on the field, and. It's going to be very hard to call it. It's very hard to call it for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what both of these boys think, you know, as players, because, you know, the Tones, like I said, have been impressive all year. They've got some really good individual footballers. Jack Duggan, Ulton Herney, Ulton Kelm, Sean Gavin, I think he's getting married tomorrow. God bless, another good man gone wrong. Jarlath, what do you think?
Oh, it's going to be a tough game because when you get the ball, the Pierces are on top of you straight away. They're not letting you go. Like they're well up for it. So if the Tones come and they're asleep, they'll be woken up fairly fast. So hopefully it'll be a good game now and tight and enjoyable to watch too.
Yeah, absolutely. I was taken by the fact, you know, the way that the fast start that the Pierces got on the Bridgets or on the McBrides last week. You know, it was notable how they came out of the traps fast, and I'm sure they'll be trying the same thing tomorrow.
Oh, definitely, because we were pure asleep. We didn't know what was going on. There was 10 minutes gone, and we were 4 or 5 points down, and it's hard to crawl back and get momentum like that. So the Tones want to come out better than them and go right at it from the start.
Right. Owen, Pierce is a tough outfit to get on top of. Physical, you know, they're pacey. They've got all the attributes, you know. But the Tones have the players, there's no doubt about it, but it's all about who gets on top early, I suppose.
Yeah, big time. I've only been out the last 2 Sundays, so I haven't seen much of the earlier games going on at the start of the season. But I suppose it's just on the day, really. Based on what you're saying, there's not much between the teams, so
yeah,
it's on the day. So looking forward to a good game tomorrow.
Typically now, love to ask you this question. I love asking inter-county footballers this question. So the day of a final, like the day of an All-Ireland final, you've been involved in All-Ireland finals, All-Ireland semi-finals. You know, what's the routine? You know, when you get up in the morning, you know, like, is it just nice and relaxed, everything slow, everything easy, you know, or gradual build-up, or what's it like?
I suppose you're kind of, from the first game of the season, you're kind of trial and error what kind of works for you, and you kind of have your own kind of schedule then, and you just kind of stick to that. Wouldn't go changing a lot, like anything really, to be honest. Just kind of what you'd normally do before a game, if that makes sense. Like, so
yeah, just keep it constant. Keep it constant.
Keep
And because something came out there on social media, it was my attention was drawn to it here last weekend. Mick Fitzsimons, who I thought was man of the match in the All-Ireland, something came out where I'm not sure, one of the Dublin boys gave him a shove into the back, you know, blindsided him at in the warm-up before the game, and you know he almost got whiplash, I'd say, out of it, you know, and he wasn't too happy about it. I wouldn't be too happy myself if I got a dunt like that. But it's amazing, I suppose, you know, stuff like that, you know, obviously does work with some players, you know, and, you know, have you ever been the victim of something like that, or have you been the perpetrator of something like that down through the years?
A bit of both, I'd say, yeah.
I knew well. I knew well by the head of you.
Just stop drinking on the Friday, you'll be sound.
Yeah, Kevin McStay, we apologise for any profanities that was used. But you know, no, it's amazing. And just going back to that match actually last weekend, I thought Mick Fitzsimons, for a man in his, you know, 34, 35, he had a wonderful game. You know, on probably one of the best players that ever pulled up a pair of togs on him. You know, and he was fantastic, I thought. You know. So, any thoughts on that? Do you agree with me, or did Paul Mannion deserve the man of the match? I'm starting a campaign, Mick Fitzsimons for man of the match.
Well, Paul Mannion now is a past McBride's player, so we're biased on that.
Oh,
no,
Jesus.
he was definitely man of the match.
That's right, I forgot that. So, okay, well, we'll leave him with that honour, so until I go home at Christmas time, and I'll maybe have a word with somebody. So, anyway, who's your fancy? We'll start with you, Doc, for the senior match tomorrow. Tough one now to call.
I have to be on the fence here now. I'm going to say it's a draw, right?
Yeah.
and I might have to confer with the board after this now to see, are we doing
yeah,
are we doing
the right
extra
thing.
time? Are we doing extra time and penalty shootout?
Yes, yeah. And I wouldn't. It's not beyond the bounds of possibility that it could be a draw, because I think it's going to be tight.
Right, the last game proved it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a toss between the two teams.
Absolutely,
you know,
yeah,
there's nothing
yeah.
between the two teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to make for a good, entertaining game of football. Hopefully, hopefully we get the crowd out to witness it, and we get the weather, and it'll be a great day.
I think the weather forecast is for rain to clear early in the morning, and it's promised to be dry, I believe, until like 7 or 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, and then there's a threat of thunderstorms coming back in. So
Well, my dad,
hopefully.
Tom Redmond, the weatherman,
Yeah.
he said the rain's supposed to be gone by or it's supposed to start again about 7 o'clock, so we should be able to get the games in.
Thank God.
So.
Well, hopefully, Tom, you're
Hopefully
right.
the penalty shooter doesn't keep going on and on.
Yeah. Hopefully they won't have to go to the second round of penalty takers. And actually a big shout out to Tom Redmond, because Tom had a terrible accident there a couple of weeks ago. So we wish Tom and Peggy, his wife, his beautiful wife, all the very best. Of course, Annie's dad and Mary's dad. So a big shout out to Tom. Hope you're feeling better. Hope you're feeling well. And I know there's a couple of other things that's going on at home, Annie, and here indeed.
Yeah, so there's a man called James Hastings from Galway. He's from Kinvara. He was diagnosed with a rare cancer, and there's a drug that's available that's proved well in the U.S. and the U.K., but it's actually in Ireland. It's in the hospital that he was in, and they won't give it to him because it doesn't have HSE approval and doesn't have all that. So apparently there was a TD had reached out to him saying it's not going to get approved in time. So he's kind of trying to raise awareness for this disease and kind of bring people's attention to it. So he's probably going to have to go abroad to get any sort of treatment to hopefully save his life. And the trials have proved very well for it. It's just getting Ireland to actually approve this new treatment.
Yeah, the payment for it.
So
Yeah.
we wish him all the best. He's a good friend of Claire Kavanagh, who played camogie for us for years. She's a good friend of ours. So we wish him all the best and his family. And then we also have Paul Reynolds as well that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Paul Reynolds has been, he's from Galway as well. He's from Athenry, so he's actually married to mine and Mary's first cousin, Lizzie.
Yeah.
He's been here for a very long time, and I think from the day he landed, he's been very, very involved with the GAA. Doc mentioned him earlier, being involved with the Cusacks. He was one of the founders of the Michael Cusacks hurling club.
Right.
He unfortunately was diagnosed with stage 4 brain tumor.
Yeah.
So he's undergoing treatment for that now. So they're, it's really very, very, very sad. He's got 2 young children, Eamon and Ronan. And Ronan Eamon plays for the Jarlaths as well. Ronan's a little too young. I don't think they take 2-year-olds, but but a beautiful family, and they're having a benefit for him. We don't know the date yet, but they're having a meeting at Gaelic Park next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. So anybody that can help, that can donate, it's very much appreciated. It's a very sad situation. Like, Paul was secretary of the Chicago board for a very long time, and Lizzie's been on the Chicago board, North American board, like very heavily involved with the adult boards and the youth board. And so, hello, Paul. We're wishing you all the best and praying for you.
Absolutely.
I just like to mention Paul also. When I moved here first in 2011, Paul was secretary of the Chicago board. He, as Annie said, he's been secretary for a lot of years. He was registrar, the most honest, hard-working GA man you'll come across. And I just want to send you the best from the Chicago board, from everyone on the north side, from everyone in GA. Paul, we're sending you our best wishes.
Absolutely, and we all echo that. I know the 2 boys mightn't know Paul, but I've known Paul as well through his work with the GA clubs out here, various GA clubs, and fundraising and all that sort of stuff. And an absolute gentleman, and we wish him and Lizzie and all his family all the very, very best. And absolutely, if there's a benefit coming up, there'll be certainly no stone left unturned anyways, that's for sure, to help out.
There was just one other thing. Then next weekend also we have a trivia night, but it's for a guy called Johnny Foley. He's with the Pierces, the Porrick Pierces club. Unfortunately, his son passed away last February with a rare illness called, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Tristan 18 or 19.
Yeah.
It's a rare disease, and Johnny is going to undertake. He's going to cycle around Lake Michigan, the circumference of Lake Michigan. It's 900 and
something miles, yeah.
and there's a trivia night next Saturday night to raise awareness, raise funds, and it's all the GA clubs are going to in their teams, and it's going to be, with the help of God, it'll be a great night, and everyone should support and come out next Saturday night. It's in the Heritage Centre at 7:30. I think, Annie, is it?
I believe so. In the Heritage
7 or
Centre,
7:30. But there'll be plenty of advertisement on social media, and there's emails going around and all that. But if you can come out and support.
Yeah, Lap the Lake for Luke, I think, is the name of because I spoke to John last week, and I think he's actually coming up tomorrow during one of the games, and he'll give us a background and an insight into it. So absolutely, the very, very best of luck to Johnny on that, and all support. Next week, with the help of God, I'll try and make it to the north side if they give me a passport to get up there.
I might come down and pick you up, John.
Oh, by Jesus, fair play to you. A decent man.
He's been promised me a long time to come up for a beer now, but I've yet to meet him. I've yet to meet him north of Madison.
I think you have me cornered this time now. I've no choice. I did not. You're only out here since 2011.
2011.
The same year as I came. Same year.
We might have met in customs or something.
By Jesus, they got 2 for the price of 1 that year.
Customs agent asleep or what?
Oh, Jesus. I have to say, I'll tell you one thing. What is it now? 2023? That's 12 years, whatever it is. By Jesus, the best 12 years ever.
I won't deny it. I won't deny it.
They went by like a flash. The other thing I want to mention is John Conroy, of course, and John, of course, was supposed to come on this podcast this evening, but he says to me, I can't talk in public. I says, will you go way out of that?
The auctioneer.
The auctioneer. But anyway, John is involved with...
You wouldn't be able to get him off the mic, that's the problem.
Exactly, yeah. He's involved with Gaelic Park, of course, on the board of Gaelic Park, and there's a big fundraiser going on for Gaelic Park at the moment where they're building a home and they're raffling it. $100 tickets, and it's a brand new single family home in the heart of charming Mount Greenwood, where we are at the moment, on Chicago's south side. And it's going to be a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom home with attached 2-car garage. So for only $100, you could get the opportunity to win this house. And it's a great draw. And the website is ChicagoGaelicParkHouseRaffle.com. So it's ChicagoGaelicParkHouseRaffle.com. And you can go on that. You can see the house. They're going to have a mock-up of the house and what it'll look like when it's currently being under construction. I drove past it yesterday, and it's sheeted, it's ready for siding, I think, and shingling, and it looks good. Looks like a sort of a house I could see myself coming out the front door. You'd never know. But yeah, so Chicago Gaelic Park, yeah, exactly. Chicago Gaelic Park Houseraffle.com. And I know Mary said to me earlier that we'll have a graphic up on the screen tomorrow during the games for this raffle, and give you all the details and website and whatever. So anyone that's looking for a nice new house, it's a great opportunity for $100, no doubt about it. So we're coming towards the back end of this chit chat. Owen, it's been fantastic having you out in Chicago once again. I spoke to Tommy Conroy and yourself in Gaelic Park last Sunday. I know Tommy had to go back because commitments with the club and stuff like that. Obviously you enjoy it out here. It's a fun time, and Lollapalooza. Will myself and yourself forget about Gaelic Park tomorrow and we'll head for Lollapalooza?
Yeah, depends who's playing.
Yeah, I'll have to put something brown on my legs, though they're a bit white, for going down to a place like that with white leggings on me. But obviously, anyways, you enjoy it coming out here, and you'd recommend it.
Yeah, big time. I was very lucky last year. The pleasure of meeting the likes of Ger and Alan Coyle and Pat Gibbons and Joe Gardner sitting behind me here.
Yep.
And many more. Just McBride's Club, it's like a family, really. Really look after you, and I had a really enjoyable summer last year. Was out here for 8 weeks, played with McBride's, really enjoyed it, and I had a bit of time off, and I just came out for a 2.5 week holiday, so going home on Monday evening. So really enjoying my time, but it's a pity it's coming to an end now.
They might have to wheel you up on the aeroplane with a wheelbarrow on Monday evening. A dangerous evening to be going home out of here.
Yeah,
It's an unofficial bank holiday in Chicago. Chicago finals Monday.
I'm thinking of changing my flights to Tuesday evening. So
take my advice and change them to Wednesday. I was telling a story to you earlier on the last time Roscommon played in New York. We went down and they should have bet us. They should have bet us that evening. And only that the referee, I think someone gave him a couple of hundred and he blew it up early. And New York
John
were
Connery, was it?
It might have been Connery. And but Jesus, anyways, the referee blew it up early anyway, so there was mayhem. And anyway, we came out with it. I was supposed to leave New York on the Monday, no more than yourself, the day after the match. It took me until the following Friday to get out of New York. 3 times I had to change the flights. Jesus Christ. I don't know how they make money in that town. You get out of the pub at 5 o'clock in the morning and you're back in it again around 7:30 or 7:45. I never seen anything like it in my life. Jarlath, what did you make of Chicago this year? Well, it's nothing new to you anyways. You've seen it all before.
It's good crack. As long as the well keeps coming with the water, it's grand, Joe. I keep coming too. So
Pat Gilroy.
You meet good people out here, Joe. You meet friends for life. You can go home and you meet them. Could be anywhere, Dublin, anywhere. It doesn't matter. You always have them. You could talk to them. It's good old crack. Like, different people every year, so it's good fun.
That's good. That's good to hear. Will you come back for one Rashter Valley maybe next year?
Jeez, I'll have to ask the landlord that now. We'll see what he says. He's gone greyer now since I came out, so.
Jarlath came in 2018. I had a full head of black hair. This is his third trip. I don't know how much left now.
He inherited it. You lost it.
You can't leave it on an odd number, so I'll make it number 4.
Absolutely. Well, I'm delighted to hear positive views from the both of you, and it's been a pleasure having you out, and it's great to see all these lads coming out. It really is, Annie and Doc. It's great to see the likes of these lads coming out, and fellas like Owen and high-profile lads at home that have been there, done that. They're an inspiration to younger players, especially out here, and it's great for them to come out and give a little bit back, and and they're great for doing it. I mean, so it
is as much. I think like Doc puts in a lot of work to his club, like Mary and I put in a lot of work to our club, and like everybody does. Like there's always a few people in each club that really kind of pull the weight, and it's as much as you kind of complain about it, it's like, Jesus Christ, I have to do this, I have to do that. It's a ton of work. Not only in the summer but in the winter months as well, fundraising, and it seems like it never stops. And as much as sometimes you kind of complain about it and wish you weren't, but you make some of the best friends in your life because of it. Like, and you get to meet people from all over the world.
But if you didn't have it, what would you be doing with your time?
Exactly.
That's the way I look at it.
Well, exactly. Yeah. The likes of Nicky and everybody else will be driving Rolls Royces instead of Chevy Suburbans. Before I sign off, I want to mention a very good friend of mine who had a 40th wedding anniversary last weekend in Tulsk. He was the man that brought me out to Chicago for the first time ever. A fellow called Enda Burden, and he drives the Roscommon bus an odd time. Just if you see the Roscommon bus coming,
he was beeping coming out of McHale Park in the first round of the championship.
That'll be him. He brought me out to Chicago back in 1997. He says, come on, Quinn, we'll go out to Conroy. And I came out here. That was the first time I got bit by the bug of Chicago. So I have to give a big mention to himself and his beautiful wife, Eileen, and all their family. I know they had a big night in Tulsk for their 40th wedding anniversary last weekend. And I told him I'd give him a big shout-out, both of them a big shout-out. I know they had a fantastic night in Tulsk, and it was full of fun and full of skullduggery. And Jumbo is a great character. I could tell you stories about him now, but I won't embarrass you this time, Jumbo, but I will later. But a big shout out to you and Eileen, and I hope you had a great night. And we're thinking about you here and wishing you all the very, very best. So, on that note,
they're getting a bit rowdy now, Quinn. I think they're
getting
tired
a bit
of
rowdy
being
now.
shushed.
They're getting a bit tired of getting quiet or keeping quiet.
Just on the back of that, now I think I have to thank a few people, before you sign
Go
off
ahead.
now, John.
Absolutely.
But I will start off, and I want to thank especially the board, the Chicago board that I worked with here this year. A lot of work, and Mary here has done a massive work as our PRO for the last number of years, and yourself, John, like you've put between the two of you and Annie, you've done a lot of work helping out, but you put us on the map, and like I'd say we're probably the first town in North America that's doing this. I mean, the numbers of views we see every week in, week out, it's fantastic, and like it's down to your wittiness, to Mary's brain.
BS, I call it.
But I would like to thank the two of you very much, along with the rest of the board. Like, you know, we're all out there as volunteers. We're there every Sunday early, and we're getting everything ready. Referees, linesmen, umpires, the whole lot. You know, I mean, I looked last Sunday, and only for I know Philip, the manager at Gaelic Park, I don't think I'd have got a drink.
Yeah.
The crowd that was in it. And it goes down to the hard work that's done behind the scenes. Like we've been at it since January. You know, it's easy sit back and type negative comments. It's easy. That's easy. You know, it's not easy to go out there, be there at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday and leave there at 10 o'clock at night. Do all this work. We're not perfect. That's what we're not. But we're the ones that have volunteered our time to do it.
Right.
So on Sunday, and if you're watching this podcast or you're watching the live stream on Sunday and you have negative thoughts, take a second to think before you type. Because, you know, you're quite welcome to come to the next convention and offer your time, your services, take over. Absolutely.
Right.
We're only volunteers. And that goes across the board with all the clubs, with everything. Before you put up on social media and you want to insult and you want to harass people, have a good think before you do it. Because unless you're willing to sit into our positions, then you don't type.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd echo those comments. I think it's the same at home. It's the same here. People give their time. They give their effort for absolutely nothing, and they do their very best. And the last thing that they need is to be harassed and to be, you know, harangued in any way. And you said it, Doc. I mean, the way to do it then is to come to the next convention and put yourself forward and change things if you feel as if, you know, that they need to be changed.
It is a big problem in the GA right now, like, and we even heard Larry McCarthy last Sunday before he gave out the SAM. He touched on it, and he was on about abusing officials and abusing volunteers and abusing players and whatever. You know, especially at county level, like a player can have a bad game, and next thing they're absolutely attacked on social media, which is the wrongest thing, because nobody knows what anybody's doing.
Right.
Or what anybody has got going on behind the scenes.
Right.
And we've witnessed it firsthand here in Chicago this summer, like, and then some of the stuff that's been put on social media and abuse that is said to individuals, like, and calling individuals out.
Right.
It's not right. And like the people that are doing the writing and the typing, you know, I know a few people, and I've yet to see them in Gaelic Park, and you know, maybe have a think to yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and have a think to yourself. You just don't know what somebody's got going on in their own personal lives.
Absolutely.
Before you go insulting and harassing people, and it's a big problem in the GA right now.
Yeah, and I actually think that's going to be one of the foremost things on the agenda in the Congress coming up in Croke Park. Never mind our Congress here, is action, you know, against people who, you know, take on this sort of social media bullying aspect, and it needs to be dealt with, because it's like any bully, you know.
It's very easy to sit at a keyboard and type, but
yeah,
you know,
very easy.
I do hope they come up with rules where individuals or even clubs, because some individuals will do it and they'll make out that, you know, clubs will say they're not part of our club, but clubs need to be punished for it.
Absolutely.
And the GA just take a strong stance on it, and that's it.
Absolutely.
Because again, I'll refer back to, like, you know, people just nobody knows what people have got going on in their own personal lives, and if they're given their time up to be volunteers, they do not deserve to be harassed.
Yeah.
Everyone makes mistakes, but nobody deserves to be harassed and
No,
bullied.
absolutely not. And at the end of the day, it's as you said, it's an amateur organisation. Everybody gives their time, their effort for free, and they're out there, you know, doing their very best. And they're the ones that put their hand up and say, you know, I'll do the job for nothing. And instead of haranguing and harassing, they need, you know, all the support and help that they can get to make this, you know, something better, a better product next year. And I mean, we have an excellent product here in Chicago, you know, through all of your work around here. I mean, Doc as chairman has been fantastic. You know, all the board, they've done, you know, outrageous work over the last, well, number of years, ever since I got here. But, you know,
we hosted the largest North American final ever last year in Chicago,
Ever,
and it
yeah.
went on, it was a huge success.
absolutely.
And it was all the volunteers in Chicago, all the hard workers that made it
that
happen. Like,
made it possible, and it was a testament to all of you guys that, you know, put in the work behind the scenes, you know, made it possible, put the infrastructure in place, you know, for this to happen. And, you know, as you said, Annie, quite rightly so, it was the biggest North American finals ever, and the crowds of people out there last year was incredible. Absolutely
talk about
incredible.
not getting a drink.
Not getting a drink. and
No, I mean the Gaelic Park staff. The Gaelic Park staff. We have to give them a
they've
commendation
been,
too.
oh,
Phil's
they've
been
been
great, and the
fantastic.
Gaelic Park
I mean,
staff.
you
They
know,
work very hard.
They've worked really hard, and I mean, tomorrow is going to be no different. There's going to be a huge crowd out there tomorrow, and you know, please God, the weather, you know, looks kindly on us. You know, it's going to be a fantastic day out there.
With the help of God, it's going to be a good day. If you're watching this, I hope everybody comes out. You know,
Yeah.
come out for a good day. I was joking about. Philip promised me. He said he's tripling up on staff. There'll be drinks flying everywhere. Make sure you come out tomorrow. There'll be live entertainment, music, the DJs. It's a great. Look, it's the last Sunday of the GA calendar in Chicago. So please come and support, and it will be a great day out.
It will, and we've got all of the paraphernalia attached with finals. We've got the national anthem being sung live by. Maggie.
Maggie Murphy O'Callaghan. She sung the finals. She sung the anthems for us last year at the North American finals. She did a fantastic job. So she's going to be doing it again this year.
She's going to give it a rasp again this year.
Oh, she is.
And we're going to have Steve Fahey, my own club man. He's coming out, official photographer, so taking all the photographs. So Owen, make sure you get into that photograph there and get a couple of action yourself, Jarlath, as well. And of course, we're sitting in front of the 3 cups here behind us. We've got the Chicago Senior Cup over on the left. This is the Intermediate Chicago Cup in the centre, and behind me here, which obviously you can't see because I'm just so slight, is the North American Senior Men's Cup behind me. So we have all the silverware here this evening, waiting to be presented to 3 very lucky teams tomorrow. And
I think John wants to do the presentations too. I'd vote for that, no problem.
I'd want to fill them first. Right? This one looks nice. It could hold quite a drop of brandy, I'd say. So on that note, folks, I will sign off. Many thanks again, Jarlath. Thank you so much for coming out this evening and coming from the north side. I appreciate it. Owen, thank you very much. I know you got here with 2 very sick ladies over there, but I think they're recuperating. One beautiful lady from Melbourne, another beautiful lady from Mayo, I believe, right, over there. So hope they're feeling better. We'll get another couple of vodka cranberries into them before the night is out. Annie, thank you so much, as always.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And Doc, Ger, thanks a million for coming down. We've been a while putting this together. But we'll have another one again. I know you're going home for 3 weeks. So I wish you safe journeys and travels.
I might need a break.
I know, you definitely will need a break. But fair play to you for coming down, and I appreciate it.
And thanks, John. I'll reiterate, thanks very much for everything you
Not
do
at
for
all.
Chicago GA.
Not at all. Pleasure. And finally, thanks to my main woman, Mary, behind the camera there. She's smiling. And we're looking forward to a great day out tomorrow in Gaelic Park. Please come out. Please get there early as well, because we've got 3 great games on show. The intermediate final starts at 2 o'clock, so please get there. And 4 games, absolutely 4 games. Sorry, well, 3 Chicago finals and the hurling game at the beginning at 12:30. And so we're looking forward to all 4 games. It's going to be a great day out there. And as I said, get out there early and just go and enjoy yourselves. It's a fantastic facility with great people out there. And I'll guarantee you tomorrow night on the patio, Owen and Jarlath, you might get me up on the table tomorrow night. Not sure. You might. So with all that, I'll sign off. Folks, thanks a million for coming. Thanks for being part of it. And we'll see you tomorrow in Gaelic Park in Chicago. Good night and God bless. Thank you. boys.
That was the longest 5 minutes of my life.